Cody Rhodes and Triple H addressed the recent allegations against Vince McMahon. Brock Lesnar was withdrawn from a planned Royal Rumble appearance. TNA's Jordynne Grace appears at the Royal Rumble, and there are a whole host of surprise debuts and returns at the Rumble. Hello and welcome to the Solo Sunday News here at WhatCulture Wrestling. Myself, Andrew Pollard. I hope you're well. I hope you're good. I hope you've enjoyed the Royal Rumble. Just to say, there is a What Went Down video from Michael Hamflett and Adam Wilborn up on the channel already, going through the ins and outs of the Royal Rumble Premium Live event. Great work from the lads there who stayed up live to watch the PLE and stream it for your viewing pleasure. Now, to get into the horrific story coming out last week, the allegations against Vince McMahon from former WWE employee Janelle Grant, allegations of, amongst other things, sexual, physical, and emotional abuse, some horrendous stuff. Now, those allegations have been asked, at least they've kind of been addressed in a very not addressy way by Cody Rhodes and Triple H, Paul Levesque. Now that this topic came up last night at the post Premium Live event press conference, where obviously the media were there and they're able to ask questions of the talent involved. Bayley came out first, then Cody. Bayley, of course, won the Women's Royal Rumble. Cody won the Men's Royal Rumble, and then Paul Levesque came out as well to round out the media scrum, as it were. Now, the issue was brought up, the allegations against Vince. This was described as a dark cloud. It was handled very well by Cody, as you'd expect. He's very well spoken, always chooses his words carefully. He addressed the dark cloud, but also looked at what had been achieved by the Royal Rumble. Paul Levesque, Triple H, loosely did the same thing, but the phrasing wasn't great when he called this an amazing week for WWE. Now, of course, he was referencing the Netflix buyout, the deal there for what, $5 billion 10-year deal for Netflix, and also the appointment of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to the TKO board of directors. So Paul Levesque was talking about those matters as making this an amazing week for WWE, but using the term amazing week in response to a question you're asked about Vince McMahon's alleged behavior and just the stuff that's alleged there is horrific. It was quite the turn of phrase to use amazing week. But yes, the credit should go to all the journalists there who did ask questions. Now, in terms of Cody, it was Nick Hausman, who does such great work at House of Wrestling, who was the first to bring up the allegations against McMahon, asking Cody Rhodes about the dark cloud of WWE and what changes can be made to the company. Now, Cody's response, I transcribed these just before I came onto this video. I know as far as the news is concerned, we were finding it out, reading the same things that you guys are reading. He said a dark cloud, certainly. As far as TKO, Nick Khan and the board clearly took it very seriously, acted immediately. Looking at the future, I don't know the answer to that. And I think somewhere is a really probably basic tenet of just this crew more than ever from a roster standpoint is very family. I've never seen anything like this. Most of the time, wrestling locker rooms feature fighting, making fun of each other, sandbagging each other in the ring, all that nonsense. The crew is very team-based, and perhaps that's the ingredient. Is everyone looking out for everyone, being accountable? I know for me as a performer and competitor, I've been through dark periods in the industry before, and it might sound cheesy, but it's very reinforcing if you're in my position that it's a time when, hey, we've got 50,000 people out there. I want to give them something else from the weekend that isn't a terrible situation, terrible news. And I think we're able to do that. And obviously, as more news comes out, we'll be seeing it just like you do. So very diplomatic there from Cody. Again, very well handled because he's excellent in public speaking in any regard, any setting. Now, by the sounds of it there with Cody, to take those words, he's saying that the details that came out last week about Vince McMahon, he was, and the talent were all kind of finding that out in real time. Now, Paul Levesque was up next, and it was who first asked the question? That was John Alba from Fightful, who asked what prior knowledge Triple H, Paul Levesque had about the allegations against Vince McMahon. His response, as kind of predicted, really is, I'm going to do exactly what you'd expect me to do here. Look, we just had an amazing week. I just said it, a 10-year, $5 billion Netflix deal, Rock joining our board. We just sold out the Royal Rumble, put 48,000 people in a Tropicana field. I choose to focus on the positive. Yes, there's a negative, but I want to focus on that and just to keep it to that. Cameron Hawkins of The Ringer followed that up by asking what Triple H will be doing about what's going to be put in place basically to help employees feel safe. Again, the response was, I'll give you the most generalized answer that I can. Everything possible. That is a very important thing to us, a very important topic to us. It's as simple as everything possible. Brandon Thurston followed that up. Sorry, apologies for the amount of reading here. It's just, obviously, this is, I don't want to misquote anybody. So Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics then followed it up to ask whether Triple H, Paul Levesque had read the lawsuit put against Vince, which he says he has not. I did not. I think Cody mentioned it, that we all found out in real time when you were, and that's the truth. I'll go back to what I said before. It's an amazing week for us. At this point, I don't even want to get bogged down in the negatives of it. I just want to focus on the positives and where we're going. We're at the most exciting time of the year for us. With the most exciting point to me, business business-wise that we've ever had. Cody might have said, I don't know exactly how he said it, but the best position of this company since the Attitude Era. I've been through that era. I understand what it's like. I feel like we are in the middle of something that, while we might not be able to put our finger on it right now, 5 or 10 years from now, we're going to be saying like, wow, what a time that was. I want to focus on that. So credit to all those there who raised this topic, raised this matter, and didn't shy away from asking some tough questions, even if the response obviously was predictable. But it's predictable that it's very predictable that WWE would obviously address the matter, but not fully, because it's an ongoing legal situation. Now, one person who was not at the Royal Rumble, who was supposed to be at the Royal Rumble, is Brock Lesnar. Now, this report comes from originally from PW Insider, who note that originally Brock was scheduled to be at the Royal Rumble as basically a way to kickstart his WrestleMania season, road to WrestleMania, whatever that would have been. I mean, there'd be plenty of speculation and maybe fancy booking where people thinking maybe Brock and Gunther could do something at WrestleMania. Of course, all that is very much up in the air now. Now, the word going around that SmackDown on Friday, this Friday just gone, was that Brock Lesnar was withdrawn, was the phrase used, from a Royal Rumble appearance. The belief was that his spot instead was going to go to an NXT talent. Now, we did get Carmelo Hayes in the match. We did get Bron Breakker in the match. So maybe it was one of those guys that got that spot, or it could have been Pat McAfee, because he was one of the surprises for the Rumble. He was there on commentary with Corey Graves and Michael Cole, and also was an entrant in the Rumble. Now, his involvement was basically less than a minute. I can't remember the exact number that Michael Cole did bang on about the number, so I apologize for not remembering that, but I've been up since 3 a.m. and drank lots of coffee. But yeah, Pat McAfee got in the ring, kind of saw Bron Breakker, saw Omos, who also returned, and then kind of like, nah, I'm good, and eliminated himself. So maybe that was a spot. Obviously, that spot you wouldn't get Brock Lesnar doing that exact same thing, but maybe Pat McAfee got Brock's spot there. Now, Brock Lesnar, the lawsuit there against Vince McMahon, it was Vince was named, John Laurinaitis was named, other executives were named, and then there was somebody in there who's referred to only as WWE superstar, who is a WWE talent and also a former UFC fighter. The Wall Street Journal is under the belief that that is Brock Lesnar, so that seems to have obviously played a part here. With also, I don't want to say interesting note on this, but the story also kind of adds that if this was previously under the Vince McMahon-led regime of WWE, regardless of what allegations were out there, Brock Lesnar would have just been rolled out and used. And there you go, regardless of how people might react to that and perceive it. Now, obviously, TKO, Paul Levesque steering the ship, they're very much aware enough to go, yeah, that's not the right call. Now, onto some more lighter topics, the actual Royal Rumble itself, because the Royal Rumble, of course, is, well, for me, and I'm sure for lots of you, is the show I look forward to the most in the wrestling calendar. I really enjoyed it, regardless of the very early start for me today. I had a blast with the Rumble. And one of the brighter sparks was an appearance from TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace. Now, this put a smile on my face. This put a big smile on my face this morning. As a big TNA nerd and a big Jordynne Grace fan, because she's brilliant. If you've not seen her before, she's great. Now, this was seemingly a one-off appearance with Jordynne Grace in terms of it wasn't her signing with WWE or it's the debut of a big run, but this is, as Jordynne Grace teased later on X, formerly known as Twitter, that basically this is just kind of like, maybe see you soon, as in TNA. This isn't the last you'll see of TNA in WWE. Now, under Paul Levesque, WWE is a lot more open to working with other promotions. I mean, we had Mickie James came back as Knockouts champion at the 2022 Royal Rumble. More recently, Shinsuke Nakamura at the start of last year went over to Noah, to Japan there, to wrestle Katie Muto, the Great Muta. Also, we had NXT's Charlie Dempsey recently at the turn of the year going over to All Japan. So Paul Levesque seems to be very much, and he even talked about that in this the media scrum, the press conference, talked about basically just being open to working with people. I did throw a bit of a dig in there about like we're not going to put labels on it about doors and silly things like that. Obviously a reference to Forbidden Door that AEW does with New Japan Pro Wrestling. But yeah, this, I'm all for seeing more TNA people in WWE. I'm all for seeing just more mingling of the wrestling world. It's always good. I think it makes for a fun time. Now, Jordynne Grace entered at number 5. And a really nice showcase of just giving you just a short example of what Jordynne Grace is all about: power, speed, physicality, aggression, obviously strength. She's very imposing figure. And there was a really nice little spot with Bianca Belair. Again, somebody who relies on strength so often. It was Bianca Belair who would eliminate Jordynne Grace. But the coolest part of this was a reunion with Naomi. Yes, Naomi is back in WWE. This had been heavily rumored before the event that she would be returning to the Royal Rumble. Of course, since April last year, she's been working in TNA. as Trinity, where she became the Knockouts champion, lost that title to Jordynne Grace at Hard to Kill earlier this month. So Naomi was back as number 2. So she get the big grand entrance, all the light show, all the amazing, all that stuff. It was great. Natalya was number 1, by the way, which is always a great foundation there to work with. So Jordynne Grace came in, her and Trinity, Naomi had a little bit of not a standoff. It was just like they both looked at each other with a big smile on the face. I say big TNA chant. So it was a decent TNA chant, which was nice to hear. They had a big hug, and then they just beat the tar out of each other. It was great. It was, really cool little moment. Now, as mentioned, this is just one of many surprises because it's the Royal Rumble. There's always surprises. I mean, some of these surprises are rumored and reported ahead of time, but hey, let's kayfabe it, brother. These are all the big surprises. So in the women's match, there was Naomi at number 2, Jordynne Grace at number 5. Jade Cargill finally made her WWE in-ring debut in impactful fashion by eliminating Nia Jax. Now, Nia had a really good Rumble. I know, not everybody's a big fan of her. I'm not saying I'm a huge Nia Jax fan, but she had a good outing here as that classic immovable object. Where it's just dominating people, throwing people out. Nobody can get her out. In previous Royal Rumbles, it's always taken multiple people to get her out. So for Jade Cargill to do that on her own, that's quite the statement. And also, you see the people that Jade Cargill mainly interacted with. There was some interactions with Becky Lynch, with Bayley. So they put her with people who obviously very much know what they're doing. And Jade has come on leaps and bounds when you realize how short into her career she is, period, in professional wrestling. So it was a very smart use of Jade Cargill. Who else was there? You had Liv Morgan came back from, I think it was a shoulder injury, was it? She'd been out with for a while. She got to the final 2. Jade got to the final 3, by the way, eliminated by Liv Morgan, who then was dumped out by Bayley immediately after. NXT, there was Roxanne Perez, there was Tiffany Stratton. Roxanne eliminated by Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany got to the final 4. On the men's side, the big surprise, the big news was Andrade is back. Again, something that was rumored ahead of time and reported ahead of time. I mean, he finished up with AEW at World's End, which was the end of last year. So Andrade's back in WWE, and just that's again, just seeing that guy on TV is great wherever he is, whether it was AEW, whether it's WWE, NXT, TNA, whatever. Anywhere that I see Andrade, it's always a good time. Apart from Ric Flair's final retirement match, because that match in itself was just a total sham. but still, Andrade looked good in that though. Anyway, we had, as mentioned, there was Bron Breakker, there was Carmelo Hayes. Melo getting about 17 minutes. Bron Breakker only getting 5 minutes, but what a 5 minutes it was. Just a complete wrecking ball. Some big eliminations. Jimmy Uso, Finn Balor, Ivar of the Viking Raiders, Omos, who returned for the first time in forever, because obviously, it's a Royal Rumble. You need that. Again, the immovable object, the big giant. And then Bron Breakker was eliminated by Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Pat McAfee, again, was another surprise in the Rumble. So it was a good time. It was only, in terms of the PLE, it was only 4 matches. Obviously 2 Royal Rumble matches, which both got in at over an hour. So I had a good time with this. The other matches, Roman Reigns, of course, retained the undisputed WWE Universal title in his 4-way match, and Austin Theory. What's Austin Theory? Austin Theory was involved, to be fair, but Logan Paul retained the United States title by disqualification due to Kevin Owens using brass knuckles. The referee catching him with the brass knuckles anyway. Right, let's get to some questions to wrap this up. I feel my throat going raspy, so apologies if I sound horrendous this morning. Right, let's start with, there's a picture of a dog. That's always good. It's, there we go, Apollo. Thanks, Mark. Solid to Mark's on touch. Morning, Andrew. Apollo smiling on a lovely Sunday. Always great. Send pictures to your pets to me. Thoughts on what Solo will do at Mania? That's quite the question, Solo Sikoa. I mean, I feel like you can't just have him just be like the enforcer or run interference. You have to do something with him. But right now, I mean, the Andre Battle Royal, he's kind of above that, but I can't think of any spot for him right now. I know there's another question coming up I did see. In fact, it's right here. I'm going to go into it now. Hector Garcia III's got in touch. Hey, Hector. Happy Solo Sunday. With the talk of his retirement, can you see John Cena in a retirement match at WrestleMania attempting to get his win back from Solo? Do you see him getting the win and riding off into the sunset? Night 1 or 2, and what placement on the card? You could run back John Cena and Solo Sikoa at WrestleMania. You could have John Cena get his win back. Or you could just have John Cena, if that was going to be his retirement match, just do the honors on the way out, and it's another dominant win for Solo Sikoa. Now, John Cena has recently mentioned that he basically got about 3 years left. He's saying he wants to retire by the time he's 50, and clearly that's not going to be 3 full-time years. That's going to be 3 years where there's the odd match here or there. There might only be 3 matches in those 3 years. There might only be 1 match in those 3 years. I don't know. I know Randy Orton, to be fair, has talked up again. He wants one more match with John Cena, this time at WrestleMania, this time in a singles match, which they've somehow never had. That would be a really fitting way for John Cena to go out, I think. Would be Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Is it going to happen? I don't think it will. As for Solo Sikoa at WrestleMania this year, I fear he'll be around WrestleMania. He'll be on WrestleMania. He'll be involved in all sorts of shenanigans. I'd imagine he'll be involved in the rumored Uso versus Uso match. But I think in terms of his match, I do think it might just be the Andre Battle Royal this year. Hopefully not, though. Andy McMahon has gone such. Should Roman lose his title to someone like Braun Breaker the night after WrestleMania? I just think that his title reign has been so long that he should lose it to someone he doesn't have a game plan for. No. I like use of Braun Breaker there, Andy, because Braun Breaker obviously is going to be a huge superstar. I mean, properly moving him to the main roster the night after WrestleMania, dethroning Roman Reigns. I mean, that would be a Raw show, and Raw's obviously Roman's a SmackDown talent, but yeah, whatever. But either way, I think that'd be way too much, way too soon for Braun Breaker. I mean, there's so many ways you can go with Braun Breaker, because clearly he's a very huge prospect as a singles act, but man, that Baron Corbin my words, that's too much coffee. That Baron Corbin tag team in NXT, that's winning me over. That's kind of winning me over. There's a little bit more personality and humor from Braun, which is kind of the point of that. But he still also looks like an absolute beast, and he's shown that he's very good as a heel. He's very good as a babyface. You can do whatever you want with Braun Breaker. I don't think putting him into that spot straight away would do him any benefit whatsoever. And also, there's that small matter of Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania against Roman Reigns, and who walks out with the title on that point. But yeah, so I think in terms of Roman, I think it's going to be Cody. I think it's going to be Cody at WrestleMania. Although I did say it's a bold prediction for 2024 when we did a video on that Roman would keep the belt until past SummerSlam just to beat that Hogan record. But I think I've changed my mind on that one. Candyman's got in touch. What do you think the new direction of Jade Cargill should be after her strong showing at the Rumble? Thanks for the question, Candyman. Yeah, it's a very strong showing from Jade. She's great. She looked great. They positioned her obviously in a major way, as discussed. I was expecting a Jade Cargill appearance in the Rumble, but in my head I was like, debut her at the Rumble, but then have her go to NXT for the rest of the year maybe, and just hone things a bit, because she's still very green, still very raw. There's so much to work with there, though. So many tools. Megastar look to her. She is going to be a massive star for that company for years to come, but she's not quite there yet. So, but I don't know if you can debut the way they debuted her and then just put her into NXT. It's what I don't have a definitive answer for. For me, I think I probably would go with the NXT route for now, just with the knowledge on the main roster, like this shark is in NXT waiting to come up at some point. So when she does arrive, it could be sold as a big deal. I don't know. Tom Talks Rubbish got in touch. Hey Tom, hope you're well, mate. Not saying this will happen, but if TKO want a clean slate and Triple H ends up gone from WWE as well, who do you see running creative and everything in between? I mean, again, that comes down to, if they wanted a clean slate, and then there's also the allegations against Vince, who knew about that. Again, Triple H said that he did not, but if they want a clean slate, Triple H would be gone, Nick Khan would be gone, Bruce Pritchard would be gone, anybody on the board of directors. But in terms of specifically, in terms of who'd run creative and everything in between, I don't have an answer on that one. It depends who they get rid of, because Triple H is very good in that role right now. If he were to go, there is no natural successor. You could look at NXT, look at Shawn Michaels, but that's a big step up for Shawn. I honestly don't know there, Tom. That's a great question, though. Yogi Connor's got in touch. What Royal Rumble... My words will come back to me before I finish this video. What Royal Rumble moment made you pop? This weekend, I'd say Jordan Grace, and then the hug with Trinity Naomi in the ring, and then just immediately just beating the tar at each other. That was cool. In terms of Royal Rumbles in general, what made me pop? There's lots of them. Most, of course, obviously involve Bret Hart, because of course they do. Randy Savage. Randy Savage got off to Jake the Snake. That was pretty cool. Savage sprinting down to the ring. Not so cool was Savage eliminating himself, but not because he didn't get thrown out by somebody else. And then not so cool was in 93 when Savage tried to pin Yokozuna. And God love the Macho Man. He's there. But in terms of general, if I think of one moment that popped me the most, I really dug the Hurricane chokeslam spot with Stone Cold and Triple H in, what would that be, 2001, 2? But I think the one for me was the big one is the return of Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig, because I was totally not aware of that happening. And I believe there were some rumblings before that, but I missed all of those. I totally didn't see him. So to see Mr. Perfect back in WWE, to do the SWAT, man, God, miss Curt Hennig. What a talent. Quickly, I'm going to get through these last few. The Tribal Fiend, Modern Legend, after Jordynne Grace's solid performance, do you think we will ever see Forbidden Door type PLE between WWE, TNA, and another promotion like Noah? I don't think we'll see a full crossover pay-per-view or PLE. It is obviously, of course, possible. Anything is possible. But I think we'll see more appearances from, I'm not saying on a weekly basis or even a monthly basis, but yeah, I think we'll be seeing more of people from other promotions, even if that is just maybe once or twice a year. But yeah, this TNA one in particular, it seems something to be very much keeping an eye on because, like I said, Jordynne Grace teased that there is a bit more to come from this. I'm not saying we're going to get some invasion or there's going to be, a merger of the rosters, but just like a couple of appearances here and there, I'd be cool with that, even if it is just another Royal Rumble appearance to do for me. Imperium's got in touch. Happy Sunday, Andrew. Do you think the Women's Rumble, what a picture that is as well, fantastic. Do you think the Women's Rumble was better than the men's? And overall, how do you rate this year's Rumble event? P.S. Here's a picture of one of my cats in a bag. Absolutely fantastic. What a very cute cat that is. Mine is wide out for the count, sleeping in there, snoring in there, because she's also been watching the Royal Rumble since this morning. Right, so where are we? For the men's or the women's? You know what? I think, obviously, I've only watched them once, and I will watch them back. I'll probably put them on shortly again. But I think I probably preferred the women's. Again, I don't know if that's my TNA bias coming out, but saying that, I love the end sequence to the men's Rumble, where it was obviously came down to Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, the kind of mini match, as it were, at the end. I also really like the fact it was CM Punk who eliminated Drew McIntyre. That was kind of cool, just because that continues to sow some seeds. And if for some reason Seth can't make WrestleMania, Drew to me is the next logical option for CM Punk. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with the women's one on that one. I just felt there was a few more surprises. Obviously, and the Naomi entrance, that was really cool at the beginning of the match. Overall, how do I rate this year's Rumble event? I mean, I'm not one for stars. I will always bang on about star ratings being completely redundant, and I'll often get told off for doing that. But yeah, so I'm not going to give you like a star rating. I'm just going to say it was a good show. It was a good show. The two title matches were predictable in terms of who was going to walk out with the belts. I didn't predict the DQ finish, obviously, for the United States title. But the two Rumble matches and those two matches as well, the two title matches were strong matches in ring, even if they were very predictable. And the two Rumble matches I really enjoyed because I always loved the Royal Rumble for the most part. I say always, that there's been one or two where it's like, oof, that was well worth staying up for. So yeah, I'd say overall, I say it was a good premium live event. I wouldn't say it was an all-timer. It was great. I'd say it was good, very good, even I would go on a limb. I'm not going to give you stars. No. And I believe that is the final question today. Actually, there's one quick one with Dave Newport. I'll get to this very quickly. Would Bayley's Rumble win? Do you think she would choose Io Sky at WrestleMania, turning babyface in the process? Yes, and yes. I think she will, and I think she does turn babyface. Thank you, everybody, for sending questions. There'll be another video floating around here, which you can go and check out. I've been Andrew Pollard from WhatCulture Wrestling. This has been the Solo Sunday News. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next weekend.